Hello, good evening, and welcome back once more. This is Manuel from CaterGraphix. Today we'll be preparing a logo type and also a mockup. But the intention of this tutorial is to show you how to create your own kind of mockup. So like you guys know me for, I usually start stuff from scratch. So I'll show you how we get to the logo before we start preparing the mockup. Without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it. Usually before I start creating my logo type, I make sure I prepare the name first before I start doing the icon. But today I am starting with the icon before the name type because I already have the sketch here with me. It's very simple, so let's get right into it. Hold your shift key in your keyboard while selecting on the pen tool over here. Okay, the pen tool, hold your shift key. So we're going to draw our D icon to use it to create that forceful iconic look for 𝗬𝗏𝗧 logo. Holding my shift key, and I hope you are holding yours too, because we're going to do this together. So hold your shift key and click. We are not going to use any more measurement. So notice something when you hold your shift key. When you try to move your cursor up and down, it takes a target to a particular aspect or point. Okay, this only have 6 or 8 aspects of points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, which is in the middle. So since it have that point, when we release the shift key, look at what happened. It doesn't have any points. We just move around without any point of reference. So we hold the shift key so we can have, I just will have to make that clear to you so you understand what's going on here. So I'm not perfect to get a perfect line. It's just by holding the shift key. I hope you learn that. Thank me later. So now when we hold on that, click on the points you want. We click on this point. I don't want this stroke at all, so we remove this stroke or we make it like 1 point. Okay, so hold your shift key, keep holding your shift key, then click on the next point. Here you click on the final point. This is not the final point actually, I'm sorry about that. Then click on this point and then this point and this point. So this particular hit on your ESC key on your keyboard. This particular stuff is what we are going to prepare this work with. Very simple. So now what next should we do? We have to start increasing our stroke to match the kind of size we want. So we increase the stroke to a particular size. I think this size is okay for me. This size I use is 25 points. Okay, 25 points. We are done with the stroking. Next thing you're gonna do, and it's very important, is go over to the cap, click on this point, rounded cap. You see what it does at this point? Click on this point, rounded cap. It makes this point more specific. But if you don't want that, leave it as it is. Okay, leave it as it is. But I think that will be very necessary and we need it for some reasons. So now when we click on that, select, or if you know this part is not equal to this other part, what you're going to do is select on the direct selection tool over here at the top side. Select on this part, then hit your arrow key back. Your back arrow key, it will move it backward. Your front arrow key will move it forward. So now we have a perfect shape. What you're going to do is to walk around or play around with our concept. So select everything with your selection tool, direct selection tool. Select everything. You see these anchor points, hold your shift key and select only these two. Curve them around. We have this sweet looking concept. So now what I want us to do here, let me show you a mistake we might fall into in the future. So what I want us to do here is very simple. We have to curve this particular point. I don't like as it is so pointed, so let's walk around and make it a little curve. So what you're going to do is click on the object, then click on expand. Select everything first before you go over there. So click on object, you click on expand. It will expand this, click OK. It automatically expand that. Okay, it automatically expand that. Very simple to do. Very simple to do. So now we have that. We click on the center of the black, select only this one, click once, then the second one you have to drag in. Okay, so this is our logo for today, 𝗬𝗏𝗧. So now we make our name beneath it, 𝗬𝗏, then 𝗧. I think for this we are going to use the capital letter. And if you're wondering, the font I'm using, this is 𝗬𝗏𝗶𝗶. Okay, we are using 𝗬𝗲𝗿 for today. You see the space between this, you can adjust it by making this total 100 or 10. 10 is okay. 10 is not even okay. Increase it a little more. Now I'm not okay with the space between 𝗬𝗏𝗧. Make sure you see the way it's aligning according to this. I'm not comfortable with the way this is not equal to this. So what you're going to do is to select only this particular fonts above, then use this arrow key over here to increase it to get to the other points. So it is okay now. I think I'm fine with that. So what you're going to do, make sure it's aligned according to the points over here. Then you hold your shift key and adjust it accordingly. So we are comfortable with that, but I'm not very comfortable with it because our logo is not done yet. So let's prepare this and make it more unique so that even without the icon, we can still call this our 𝗬𝗏𝗴𝗏 logo. So how do we do that? We're going to delete the D and space this out until it reaches the edge. So now we start again to make something like this without this particular one. So we could walk around this actually, but okay, let's walk around this so that we don't stress ourselves. Walk around this, select only this part. See where I am selecting. I selected only this part, then push it back a little, then select only this front angle and push it back a little too. So by so doing, we have made our D. Okay, we are not going to make this. Let me show us the mistake we made. We're supposed to duplicate this before we carry on with this joke. Call it a joke. So we are supposed to duplicate this. So hold your Alt key and drag this thing out. So now we select everything at this part. You see, it touches this part. It will now start scattering the whole logo. Let me show you. You see what's going on? It will scatter the whole logo because that point is not rightly selected. So now we select only this part. Don't make sure it doesn't touch this angle. Select only this part, then you push it in a little. Then select this part to push it in to form a perfect D shape. So we have our D shape now. We move it down here. That's the D we are going to use for the delta. So this is making sure that the concept of the logo is not lost even when the logo icon is not present. I hope you understand that. So we're having a problem here. The size of the font in the logo icon is not the same with the font. So let's fix that immediately. So we increase the size to make sure it matches with this. I think I'm okay with that now. So let's push it in where it belongs. I think this is where it belongs. So decrease the size a little to match with these angles. So we have our full logo concept here for 𝗬𝗏𝗴𝗏. So when you look from afar, it looks very nice and intriguing. Okay, look very nice and intriguing. So you can walk around some other stuffs. I don't think there's much we need to do about this. So let's get into the main idea for today's tutorial. The main idea, do you like my wallpaper? If you do, let me know. I will send you a link to that. So the idea for this is to make a mock-up. So I'll be selecting one of my beautiful wallpaper. I have beautiful wallpapers going on here. I have beautiful animal wallpapers and I have landscape wallpaper like the one I want to use now. I like this so very much. I love this so very much. See how beautiful that is? So now let's get right into work. We'll be using this 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 wallpaper for our logo mock-up tutorial today. So this is very simple. This is what we are going to use today. So let's zoom it closely. No, let's zoom it far. This is okay for me. So now we are going to pick on our logo, but before we do so, we have to change the color to white because we are working with a dark background. Change it to white. It's no more visible here, don't worry. It will be visible where we are pushing it into. So this is what we have here. So we are going to walk around this a little. We're going to reduce the size and find a perfect space for it to blend in. Find a perfect space for it to blend in. So I think this is cool. This is cool for me. This is cool. So this is just what we want. What you're going to do next is this. Very simple. What you're going to do here is to reduce the opacity of this. But before we do so, make sure you click on option here. Click on option. Let me zoom closely so you see. Click on option here. Then make sure you rasterize this layer or rasterize the layer style, whichever is available. So why we rasterize layer is to make sure this is no more a smart object so that you can play around with it. So now we have that. We have to reduce our opacity now by reducing the size of the opacity is just from this angle. Look over there. Yes, I mean over there. Yes, opacity. That's opacity, bro. So cool. Now we are with our opacity of 59% or 60%, whatever works for you. Just want to see through this our logo to see what's going on over there. So what next we are going to do is to select your ellipse tool. I think that's the name. It's been a very polygonal laser tool. It's been a very long while I visited Photoshop. So select on this tool, and we will now have to cut out this part from this particular layer, which is our logo, not the flower. Okay, so let's zoom closely so we don't make mistakes. Let's zoom closely. The image quality is not very good, but let's manage that. So now let's start doing our magic. So we're going to cut on these points that we think we want to work with. Just cut on these points. I'm going to make a very rough work here, so when you are doing yours, you can make it look nicely finished. Okay, you guys are good at manipulation. Me, I'm not good at photo manipulation, so you win. So now we have that. Let me zoom out so you see what we are doing. Now we have that selected with that polygonal laser tool. Click on delete to delete that particular aspect. I'm going to tell you what this is going to do for us. So now we deleted that. Click on Ctrl D to deselect that particular angle or aspect. Okay, so now we click on deselect from that angle. We come to the other part we want to remove, which is this particular angle. Select on a polygonal tool. Make sure you select on the layer you want to cut, which is over here. So we start our work again. And just have to remove all these parts that we don't want. So next thing you do is delete again. We zoom out and find another place that is gonna work. I think there are lots of places based on our placement. Okay, this is particularly based on our placement. If we placed this very wrongly, it would have given us a very wrong reaction, because we are not going to see enough places to select while preparing our mockups. So we select on this part, we still delete. How I wish I could fast forward this. Control deselect. I don't want to fast forward this because I want you to understand everything that is going on right in front of you. Okay, so select and delete. So now let's go to the last one. Remember to click on Control deselect or Control D. So the last one is over here. We select on this part. If you have very low image quality, you're going to have a very bad output after your mockup, because some edges are going to be coloring black, like what is going on with mine here now. Control deselect. So we are done basically with our rough format. So what you're going to do now is to increase the opacity, and that is it for our logo. I don't like this part. Let's go back and Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Let's go back and work this out. I don't like the way that angle looked. Ctrl deselect. So let's do it again one more time. Don't be annoyed. So what did you eat today? What did you take for breakfast? Let me know in your comment section below. So select this. If you didn't select anything, you see we click on delete, nothing happened. So you must select on something you want to delete. Control deselect. So we are okay with that. Very good. I think it's okay now. So now what we are going to do is to increase the opacity again. So go over here again, increase the opacity to 100 and come back. Let's see what we have. Perfect. Okay, this is perfect. I love the look of this. So now what we are going to do is to make sure this look realistic, because as it stands it doesn't look very realistic to me. I'm going to walk around mine before I published my own, so you're going to walk around with yours too. So let's make this more realistic. How are we going to do that, or how are we going to make that happen? I noticed some spaces here, so let's remove it. See those lines? Noticed them, and I noticed this part didn't work perfectly well, so we can just use a particular tool. This eraser tool is what I'm using now. Just using to fine tune the edges that I noticed didn't work pretty fine for us. So I think it's okay now. Very good. Control Z. Very good. So now what we are going to do is to make this look more realistic. How are we going to achieve that? We're going to create some shadows on some points, so especially this particular point. But look at what happens when we try to create a shadow. We selected black color and we select on our brush tool. Our brush tool is what we are going to use today. You see what's going on there? So now we are going to reduce the size to match the particular size we want here. You see the size I'm using here? It doesn't matter the size I'm using. What matters is the size of your layer, the layer you created. Okay, so use it particularly based on the size of layer you created. So we reduce the opacity over here. This particular place is where you reduce the opacity, so that when you brush on something, it's not going to show very well. But if you increase it to 100%, when you brush on something, it's going to show. Do you understand that now? So control Z. So we are going to reduce it to about 19 or 18%. So when we brush, see what we get. Control Z. Let's say 15% will be okay. So we have 15% now. Let me zoom out. So you see clearly what we are doing. We have 15% there, and we have selected our stroke here. Then we selected this part, not this particular one. Select this one, so that this one now makes it too hard. Select this part so that the edges will be very smooth and it will be disappearing at the other edge. Then we selected black as our color for shadow. So what next we are going to do now is to select on this particular tool. This tool is called the rectangular marquee tool. It is used to select all angles you want to work on. I will show you what that means. In a minute. So if we didn't do that and we select on the brush tool, we try to create a shadow here, it will reflect on the background. You see what's going on here? Let me increase the size so you understand what's going on. You see, it's going to reflect here. So to avoid this, Control Z. To avoid that, we are going to select this particular tool, which is rectangular marquee tool. We select the layer you want to select, then draw above it. It will draw something like this. Click on V on your keyboard, then click on the arrow up in your keyboard. You know, arrow up and down and left and right. Just click on the up or the left or the right, anyone you want to click on. It will now select all that part in that particular layer. Okay, you selected, and you can see the edges. Let me zoom closely so you see all these things going on. It's actually selected that part, so that anything we are doing will be working inside it. So let's try brushing again to see what happens. Select our layer again. So if we brush now above this leaf, nothing will happen. But if it tries to come in here, something will happen. So we can now brush all around here without affecting the leaf. So that is a trick I know you guys are going to enjoy, and you're going to use it in your future jobs on Photoshop. It's very simple. So Control Z. So now we are achieved that. We are going to reduce the opacity to about 15% like we did earlier. Now I'm using 17%. Now let's zoom closely and start working. I just want to use only one shadow. You can play around with your own. You can create multiple shadows. Just want to create only one shadow beneath here, so that you see how it feels. So you create that shadow here. See what I'm doing? You draw another shadow. When you reduce it very well, you can just play around with your shadow tool. I'm comfortable with that. You see what we have there? I'm not okay with it. Control Z. Now what we are going to do is to reduce the opacity a little more. If you notice you're having a problem, too much of shadows, reduce the opacity a little more, then start working on your shadows again. So you see what we have there. I still don't like that. Let's work again. Let's try one more time. Let's try one more time. Very good. So we have that over there. Let's try this part. We have that over there. Let's try this other part. We have that over there, and I think that is it for our tutorial today. Let's deselect and see what we have here. So we see it. You see the shadows going on. If you zoom out from afar, it seems as if that is reflecting here and reflecting here and reflecting there. So you can still play more with this by selecting this part and removing some part of shadow, particles of shadows which you don't really like. So that is it for our tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed it, and leave a comment in the section below, so I can treat any issues you're facing with this. If you have any questions on this particular kind of mock-up design, let me know. If you have any further tutorial you want us to work on, let me know also. So that is it today. Remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed to this channel. Also like and share this video to your friends so they can learn how to make minimalistic logo types and also how to prepare their own kind of logo. Till next time we meet, this is Manuel signing out from CaterGraphix. Enjoy the rest of the day.